it's basically the prototype that made. So this is for the design
Mm-hmm.
challenge, by the way, from the last quarter here, and or last 2 months rather. And well, I guess to start off, like basically that my the topic for this was for the submission was safe lifting. So basically, I've actually delivered training like interactive e-learning on this before. Like basically, it's where workers place a certain amount of boxes onto a pallet while using the safe lifting technique. So that means like basically using your legs instead of your back to lift. So it's to help avoid injury when you're doing Yearley and all that stuff. So anyway, I thought I'd like transfer this to or uh, make this like a VR training. So you see my screen here.
Oh,
We could see it before, but not now. Oh, now we can see it.
mm-hmm. 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 So is this a recording
Yeah,
of the
that's
actual prototype?
it is. It's basically so I'll explain that in a minute here. Basically, I like my goal for this was to like create a design document like that was fairly detailed, plus also a prototype in some form. I wasn't sure at first what I'd end up doing the prototype in, but yeah, like I really feel like prototypes are really effective in like visually communicating design, like interactions to pretty much everyone, like from developers to like managers to people that are stakeholders and other team members. Just like any other interactive project, really, even if it's just traditional 3D, which I've done before, or even like really simulated 2D projects as well. So I think prototypes are really the way to kind of, yeah, I mean, they really do sell the project sometimes. So that's why I thought it was important to I wanted to challenge myself to make a prototype as well as like a design document. And actually, I did focus more on the design document this time actually than more than the prototype. But I think both turned out pretty well though. So yeah, I wanted to show this prototype to just give some context, I guess, up front here. And I made some like decisions up front where like how detailed can I get this prototype as well as like, but also making like kind of focusing on the design document. Um, so I made this in Playmaker, which is a Unity asset. Um, I use it for some 3D prototypes and projects at work as well. And it's kind of like visual scripting, but so I'm not going to really get into too much detail with that right now. I wanted to try to like show you guys it's pretty involved actually. It's so the thing is with this prototype, what I ended up doing was making like a recording in Playmaker with the interactions being controlled by the keyboard, and then I mocked up like the VR interactions in Camtasia actually, so that allowed me to get a video prototype made. So it worked out. I mean, I'm actually still, well, it's not true VR right now, but I'm still kind of deciding on like what like VR platform or asset I want to use in future for prototypes. Like there's different ones out there, so I wanted to like think about more about how there's differences between each one, like Unity's interaction, XR interaction toolkit and other like VR assets you can buy and so forth. They're all different. They all have different like interactions like built into them. So I think that going forward, I would probably want to think about more like which interactions I'm going to use for the prototype before I like purchase something or like decide on what I'm going to use. So that's kind of why I ended up just using Playmaker this time. And yeah, so this is all kind of detailed. So I think that right now I just wanted to set the stage for like how I built it and so forth, and not go into too much detail. So
Mhm.
next
Well, I
thing I
think
would love
this
to
is
share.
great, Jay, because to be honest, I think, in my experience, like as instructional designers, I mean, it's great if you want to keep learning and you know how to do the development, but what you have already is such a good prototype that a developer can understand what you want and can probably, put that together rather quickly based on the prototype. Like, I feel like as an instructional designer, you've already gone like 3 steps further than you probably would have to do if you were actually on like a development team or on a team that's creating these things. So I think you did a great job. Yeah, I was super impressed when I saw this. I think it's just really cool and a great piece for your portfolio. I hope you have a portfolio somewhere that you can put it on, and that you have your design document that isn't so detailed and also like really shows your thought process. So I think it's really cool.
I'd like to.
Yeah, I really wanted to.
I'm a game designer myself. I can definitely see something being built from the prototype that you gave. It was very well done.
Thanks for that. Appreciate that. Yeah, like I said earlier, I think prototypes do go a huge way of like visually communicating like the mechanics and so forth of like gamified simulations and so forth in both like traditional 3D and VR. So yeah, like that was my goal to try to make both. And I do this for my work too. Sometimes I make prototypes before I present like an idea, and it usually turns out like they'll pick it up. So anyway, yeah, thanks for the comments. I wanted to like jump into the storyboard or the design document rather as well as if I have enough time here. So I know I went into like a good amount of detail, so I'm going to try to make this pretty concise, as concise as possible. And um, to be honest with you, I really kind of wanted to challenge myself to make this as detailed as possible because I think this is important too, like for instructional designers to describe all the details of like a VR experience, for example. There's actually so much more that goes into these experiences than like traditional 3D or 2D simulations and so forth. So that was my goal for this one. And like the overview just kind of just describes basically of like what the overall purpose and general intro of this simulation would be, so providing learners an opportunity to demonstrate the proper hand placement and proper box placement onto a pallet. The objective, after completing the training, the learner will be able to use a safe lifting technique, safely place 4 boxes onto a pallet. Audience is just beginner to mid-level technicians that have no knowledge of the safe lifting technique. So these are basically like new hires, or people that have been switched to different positions, and they have never been exposed to like safe lifting before. So locomotion is like this to me was like an important section to include because it describes the movement in this experience. Like I decided that the continuous or room scale movement would be good as opposed to teleporting because basically to move you're using your, like you could either walk around naturally, like physically walking around this room space, or use a thumbstick. So it's like teleporting just because like the whole experience revolves around like picking up boxes with the controllers using all the buttons, the trigger and the other main button. Trying to get the name right now, but basically using all the buttons plus both controllers to pick up a box, and not like to teleport. You have to actually use your trigger as well and point to like a specific place. So wouldn't really work as well with teleportation. Yeah. So the audio just covered audio is playing during ambient audio of a warehouse, plus just different audio effects, user interface. This blue box is like a scorekeeper. Keeps track of how many boxes you placed successfully under the pallet. And yeah, I think if I were given more time and like had a longer time frame, I would probably improve this a bit more. This instruction box works pretty well, but like in VR experiences, you can actually move these around to different spots using your controller. You like click your trigger and use your ray interactor and grab it and move it to like a different spot. So, you know, I'd probably, if I had more time and like more, that would be my wish list item to like add more to this section to clarify that a bit more. You can move that around to move to the side, or you know, it's like it's an instruction box. Like you can move to the side and VR experiences. So most VR experiences. Main menu. So, you know, as you can see, I tried to add a lot of visuals to accompany each section. It really, I think, helps describe visual experiences for sure. Like that's really important. And this, in the environment visualization section shows like different views. You can like, just like the prototype showed, they show like a close-up view and like a regular view. As well as like some references for the 3D environment, which is it's like a 360-degree image actually, and it's implemented in Unity as a skybox. So it means like you're talking about 360-degree like images earlier, kind of the same thing, you know. So you put it in, it's called a skybox in Unity, but same idea though. So interactable objects, it just includes the 3D models that I included, like the boxes, palettes, which I believe I got from Squid. It's like a 3D models website. And I measured these out actually. This is probably not super to scale, but it's like, I use a ruler to kind of measure these out to just make some kind of realistic, like real world scale, because real world you're dealing with like real world size boxes and like pallets and so forth. So that's pretty important. I would say like if you're doing like real world training, we need to like include these details to make a, like, I don't know, like a good training experience. Yeah, good training experience. So the tasks were just like broken down, the objective broken down into steps, like tasks you complete were shown in those text boxes you saw, prototype, and criteria, successful interactions. This, I kind of like touched on this earlier, but like basically you'd use the trigger and the grip button to like press both simultaneously on both controllers to pick up a box. I felt like that was like a really good way to show like like these are like really good real world motor skills. Like you pick up a box with your whole hand instead of like just like a finger, right? So I thought that would be a good way to simulate the box. And then the VR experience would also like be able to know if you were crouching or standing up. So in order to pick up a box and place it down safely, you have to crouch down first, go up to the box first, and then crouch down, pick it up, stand up straight with your back, using or with your back straight and your legs, using your legs to pick it up. Actually, your leg muscles.
I have one thought
And
there,
then real
Jay.
quick, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing about the crouching down is if you're wearing a headset, I mean, the program can't tell if the person is doing that. I mean, you can measure the height of the headset, right, from when they spawned in, they're at a certain height, and then you can measure if they've crouched a certain amount as well. So you probably would have to think of like the height of the headset goes down, I don't know, a foot, 2 feet, whatever. It'll be different for every person. So, but it would be awesome. And I know this is all, you're already finished with this and this is hypothetical, but in the actual VR experience, if there was feedback to the user when they crouch down that they have crouched far enough, like they crouch down, it's measuring the headset height, the headset hits a certain height, and then they get some sort of positive feedback that like, oh, we understand that you're crouching safely now. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what that visually would look like inside the experience, but giving some sort of like, good job, you're crouching and then you're doing it with your legs, like something like that.
Sure.
Even though you can't really prove that they're doing it the right way, you can at least test to see if they're even crouching at all by checking that headset metric. That was just one thought that I had.
Yeah, I did think about that too. Actually, I was like thinking of ways that maybe I could visualize that, but I didn't really want to. I don't know. I think there's probably different opinions and like ways you can approach this for sure. And I think that I didn't really want to overwhelm like the learner with too many like crazy like visual, well, like icons and so forth. And instead let them kind of like learn on their own a bit. Like you like for example, down here, that might be a good way to approach it. Actually, I'm not saying like that's probably a good idea. Actually, the way I kind of approached it was to have like a game over kind of like a successful state or try again or restart scenario kind of state at the end. Like so, if they were to break a box, like you can actually break boxes too, like this. Like even like for example, if you raise the box higher than like the height of another crate, dropped it, would break. Like I actually put this in my prototype too. You can break it, but I didn't film it. But break the box too. And so like at the end, it would show like this kind of feedback at the end. Like try again. You've damaged one of the boxes. That's a good point though. I'm not gonna like. I think that I did think about that actually about like trying to make some feedback about crouching as well. So I appreciate that comment. Like it kind of makes me think a little bit more about how far I could have taken this.
Yeah, no, it's just something I think about because at my job we have people who are supposed to be doing maintenance on airplanes, and you don't realize that the height of a person really affects it actually becomes an accessibility issue, because if you have somebody who's really tall and you set your box height, a certain height, how are you going to measure if that tall person is it comfortable for them to reach? So we've had simulations where if one of our testers is very short, she's like 5 feet tall, and so sometimes she can't reach the part on the airplane because it's out of her reach. She has to get a chair or something to stand on to reach it. So yeah, it's just thinking about those things about how you can use the headset to be, when a person spawns into the room, using that headset height as a way to like kind of judge where the height of everything in the scene should be is like definitely a trick that I had not thought of before I had to start designing this stuff, but definitely something to keep in mind when trying to develop or design for VR things. It's like height can be a really big issue.
So
Yeah, I do know there are some ways. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I wonder if the feedback on the controllers might help. You know, you get that, like, for example, I was designing this little yellow postcard, and I noticed that as I'm writing, it helps you even out your writing by giving you a buzzing, I guess. So I wonder if you can do, you know, if we cannot measure how, you know, how tall you are or how high you are to measure if you're crouching correctly or even track your feet, if they're wide apart or anything like that, could you make it so the higher you raise your box, the more buzzing you will feel? And it may even, like Jay mentioned, topple out of your hands, or if you go too low, it will break or fall down. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
just
that was actually on my wish
the
list too.
idea of having a coach that could demonstrate, because that's what in Supernatural, that's the thing that I like the most is how they will demonstrate, for instance, a stretch, and they'll say, hey, I'm going to turn, it's just like a real coach, but just seeing that human being in the room to do the initial demo helps you to get things right and to avoid injury. And that is actually because you're moving so much in that particular game. Injuries are real. I've actually injured myself playing that game, which is kind of sad. That was when I was boxing. So Jay, when you're like, you know, in future iterations of this, I mean, that's one possibility. You could have a real life coach in there as an option to demonstrate.
Yeah, you're right. That was actually on my wish list, like I was
Yeah.
saying. Like
You
so,
can't pack everything in there.
like I think maybe the most ideal situation would be like having like some like light voiceover. I was gonna add like a voiceover section that was in the back of my mind. Given time, you know, I would have probably added that, and blending like the text boxes that are shown on screen plus the voiceover would probably be ideal. Maybe the icons too would be good. You know, it's all kind of like a thought process, and like given time, I would have made this perfect, I'm sure. But you know, but I think it turned out well given the time I had, and
It's
Amazing
really
job.
good.
Yeah, you did a great job. I just that one, the one thought that I had as we were looking through it. So just a thought, but I still think you did a really cool, a really nice product that you have here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
I like your feedback as well. Like I really appreciate everyone's feedback and help me to think about like if there were more steps to come that what could be added to make it better experience, you know, for sure. And then I'll just kind of scroll through here real quick to show you what else was in it. And I included some stuff about like the results reporting. Nothing too heavy here. I just wanted just a past shared a past record to the learning record store. In my mind, I think it's okay. So yeah, there's some. Oh yeah, yeah. VR is really like useful for these kind of mm, physical experiences where you're using your hands and arms and like during in the medical field too. I've seen where people are like surgeons are being trained to surgery with VR experiences as well. So one last note I wanted to share, like this learning a record store stuff is actually real in Unity too. It's I've done it before. Like you can pass like the results to your LRS.
Oh,
So
Jay, I'm sorry. I'm going to have
with
to
that, I
leave.
think
I
I
just
wanted
realized
to
I'm
kind of wrap
late
up on
for
that
another
note.
meeting. Bye.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Bye.
Bye for now.
oh
Jay,
cool.
could you
Jay,
share
what
some
was
resources on LRS communication from Unity? I only seen one plugin for SCORM and nothing else.
yeah, that was gonna be my question as well. You said that there is a way to track those analytics, and I would be really interested in what are those tools.
Sorry. Everyone.
I know. Yeah. See if I can find it. I can probably share some more stuff in the Slack channel as well if I can't find it right now. Which I was actually kind of thinking about like doing later. Point. There's ADL had like XAPI wrapper. So I think if I can find it now, I'll share it. But if I can't find it right now, I'll put it in the Slack channel. ADL
Yeah,
is
that's
the
you can share it later. It doesn't have to be now. Yeah,
Yeah, it would be
but
amazing
yeah,
though.
yeah.
ADL is advanced distributed learning. I think they made SCORM actually. I there's a I'm finding a branch right now. There's like an official ADL like branch on GitHub too. So I think what I'm going to do is like probably share that the Slack channel, or you know what, I have it right here actually.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, thank you for sharing going over your document and your prototype with us, Jay. It was great to hear your thoughts and your process on how you were putting that together. And thank you for submitting that. You were our only submission this time around, so kudos to that. I don't think we really have a design challenge set up for this next round, but maybe if we do think of something, we'll post it in the Slack channel for everyone.
Yeah.
Mm. Do you have a sense of when that might be completed, or you're just still kind of going with the flow at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what is your project about?
I
Yeah.
think we have a very big scope, so we're trying to scope
Oh,
it down.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mhm.
Well, I'm curious to see. Yeah, I would love to see what y'all produce.
I think Horizon World is
Mm. Yeah. This was super cool. Thanks for sharing, Tristia. I have
Thank
some
you.
apps I need to go look at. All right.
Mhm.
that ADL link is right on the screen there, by the way, if you want to look, check it out.
Oh, awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Similar experience, I'll just say. So, but anyway, yeah, like, thanks for letting me talk about my project tonight, and I appreciated all your things you shared as well tonight as well, the games. I need to try out the Fisherman's Tale for sure. That's like up my that's my kind of thing. I like those kind of experiences, the story driven like games, stuff like that. My favorites.
Huh. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye for
Bye.
now.
Bye.